I am Yang Sun-jin, a philosophy doctor who teaches at Hanguk University of Foreign Study. I am doing a study comparing Confucianism, which is a traditional Korean ideal, and Western philosophy. I'll present. A philosophical understanding of the characteristic of Koreans' MZ generation. Introduction. Young people in their late teens and 13 began to be called the MZ generation, Millennium plus Z generation. By 2020, the proportion of the population aged 15 to 40 accounted for 33% of the world population. But by 2040, the population is more than 50%. If the MZ generation is the mainstream generation that form the central value and worldview of Korean society, what they build is based on what ideological basis, and to them, we would like to reflect on what Eastern thought means and what Eastern thought is suitable as a solution to cure modern society on ethical ills. Eastern society and individualism. The MZ generation is a generation familiar with the transition from analog to digital society, and the internet and mobile phone sync right the hand and feet of the MZ generation. With the spread of the Wi-Fi and the popularization of internet use, the MZ generation is familiar with social media, SNS, from an early age, considering smartphone or digital media as their bodies. As the smartphone begin to become popular, the Korean generation is divided into before and after smartphone generation. MZ generation, and the MZ generation's means of the communication and media are possible through smartphone and are the generation living a hyper-connected society based on ubiquity and mobility, which a digital environment. Generation that freely accept other culture as a frequency of contact with other culture, includes while communicating with people from the different culture, generation of deviance and demarcation. Historically, individuals have been born in the sense that individuals are dignified beings, and the movement to escape all power and restraint is the result of the Reformation. In the MZ generation, independent media called SNS play a major role in the background of individuals who were independent of mass media, which had exclusive information right, forming information power. Unlike in the past, the MZ generation is a generation in which true individuals have emerged. The MZ generation is a generation that emphasized my personality. Generation X tend to collapse the existing order, and the generation dominated by political and economic ideology to establish a new order as an alternative But Generation MZ cannot break away from the ideological framework of political or economic dichotomous ideology and directly relate to their lives. For the older generation, filial piety is a very meaningful moral belief in terms of social preservation and maintenance of all. But for the MZ generation, filial piety is simply an old-fashioned traditional ideal to maintain and defend the vertical relationship of the old generation. In the eyes of the older generation, the ethic of the MZ generation will seem to recognize only the part related to individual interest as ethic. A presentative example is a discussion of fairness, that is, justice distribution, which is directly related to individual lives, which is an important ethical and political issue for the MZ generation. 3. Restoring ethics and presenting new ethics. MZ generation is enthusiastic about philosophy and ethics, such as Friedrich Wilhelm Nietzsche philosophy, who emphasized the context of human life and emphasized the freedom from modern coercive ideal and ethics. Nietzsche's ideal is a philosophy suitable for the MZ generation in that it emphasized individual personality because it emphasized the principle of life. That is, in German, Wille zur Macht. But within Nietzsche's ideal, it ignored the ethical norm that life should follow. That is because Nietzsche argued that there is no truth, and think that only life that meets the principle of the life is a true life, and that there is no special life justification, individual standard of life or truth. 5. Individual personality and dialectic method of righteousness, individual ethic. Life is different from the inanimate object, but clearly the principle of life, that is life, has its own principle and justification. Nietzsche's philosophical perspective, which pursues a philosophy that is faithful to the principle of individual life, needs a philosophy that respects individual life while emphasizing the legitimate ethic that life must protect. If the MZ generation shows a de-ethic and unethical attitude to escape from the existing ethic of the West, it is necessary to restore ethics that respect and recognize individuality and differentiation, while helping them faithfully implement their own principles. The MZ generation believes that in order to learn ethical attitude while respecting individuality and personality, they must learn traditional Korean ethics. Conclusion. As the MZ generation progresses, they are more resistant to the system and lifestyle posed by society and are the generation that refuse to live the same or similar way of life as others. I think the MZ generation should respect the individuality and type of the life of individualistic tendency, but at the same time, they should learn that healthy happiness can also be sustained when they are faithful to Esther's life. Thank you for your attention. Thank you.